Cardinal McCarrick, these arguments are extraordinarily persuasive, at least to me and to all of us. And yet this has been a difficult set of partnerships to forge. Could you reflect a little on why you think it's been difficult and what we can do about it? And then perhaps also, I was relieved to hear that you had not been recently in Somalia and some other places, but maybe reflect a little on these links between global security and the kind of moral compulsion, the moral imperative to address poverty that we are highlighting in this panel.
Do you notice that the last guy always gets the worst questions? If I may, just before I try to answer that, to say what an honor it is for me to be on this panel. Catherine is she's a prophet or prophetess of this whole area. She's been wise and forward-thinking and moving us all forward for so long, and it's a great privilege to be with her. And Ed, when you listen to what Ed said, there's hardly any worthwhile organization in our country looking out for the needs of the poor that he's not involved in. He's just like wonderful, wonderful generosity there. And Larry, you know, anytime there's a disaster somewhere, you don't have to ask where it is. You say, where is Larry now? And that's what he's trying to help people. And of course, David will be canonized someday. I don't want to anticipate anything, but that probably is going to happen. So I'm delighted. I'm the only sinner around here, so it's good. It's good that there's somebody here to talk for the rest of us. But to answer, I want to start by just saying something that I think I had not intended to talk about this, but something that David said. You know, we did a survey a while ago in the United States, basically about Catholic people, about foreign aid to the poor, nation of the poor, food aid, and things like that. And we said to the people, you know, how much do you think the government, you know, of our government is giving of its budget? And people said maybe around 15%, and that's too much. 15%. Wow, that's really interesting, we said. And then the second question was, how much do you think we ought to give? And they'd say, well, maybe 7 or 8%. And of course, the answer is we're giving less than 1%. And so people think we're doing much more than we're doing. And that's why we have to educate them, to let them move and understand what we as people who are the children of Abraham, we are Christians and Jews and Muslims, what we really must do in order to take care of the poor. I think in answering Catherine's question, one of the reasons that we have trouble here is that people, when they put their evaluation on faith, often don't give it the kind of priority that we who are religious people think it needs. Even in the World Economic Forum in Davos, which is, as you know, a gathering of some of the great economic and business leaders, some of the political leaders of the world, a while ago, about maybe 10 years ago, they decided to put a religious element there so that the religious thinkers, the religious leaders would be able to have some influence on the decisions that were being made. Well, when the economic crisis came, one of the first things they said was, well, maybe we don't need this religious thing anymore. We can cut our budget and let that out. Well, thank goodness, because of Catherine and others, the religious dimension will survive maybe in a different form. But it is so important that we realize that you can't solve these questions just on the level of material things. It's not there. Material things will only give you the profit motive, will only give you a selfish understanding. You need to look at the spiritual. You need to go beyond. We all know that there's more to life than just the things we can touch and add and multiply. That there is a spiritual dimension. We all know that we're called on to be something more than we are. We all know that none of us feel that death is the absolute end of everything, that there's going to be something after it, because there is. And it is that where the motivation for a faith-based initiative comes out. As some of my colleagues have said, you know, so often is the faith-based initiatives that are able really to touch the poor. I think of so many of our inner cities, where I've worked in many of them, and there, in so many areas, it's the storefront church that the evangelicals are running, who really can get to the poor and really know what's going on. Hopefully it's the Catholic parish whose priests and religious are also able to see what's going on in their neighborhood. And without that, you're never going to solve this. And this is why we were so pleased that faith-based initiatives were started under 2 administrations, and that in some way they'll continue. So we're expecting Father Larry to really come up with the answers to all these things and get this thing moving along. I just want to mention one other thing, since in a certain sense, since I'm sitting next to the empty chair where the man who is going to talk about interreligious dialogue on this should be sitting. Let me give you one story. About 9 months ago, the International Islamic University of Malaysia invited me to come and talk and give what they called a retreat on a weekend in September. And the first day of the retreat, I presented Catholic social thought, which is not really that different from Christian social thought. And there was the whole faculty of theology of this, the graduate faculty of this university was there, and we spoke about what is Catholic social thought, the 4 elements: the dignity of the human person, solidarity, subsidiarity, the universal destiny of goods, that no one can own everything. And the next day, they came back to me and reflected to me how these same notions were present in the Holy Quran and the Hadith of Muhammad. And so that we share a great deal when we move into this area. And I believe that if we, all 3 religions, Jewish, Catholic, Jewish, Christian, Protestant, and Muslim, if we all get together and find that we have the same basic roots in taking care of the poor, we will find the way to eliminate poverty, and we'll find the way to eliminate violence. And that will be the way to peace in our time.